Learn English through story. The price of silence. In the heart of the bustling city of Illyries, where the streets were alive with the sounds of commerce and the air was thick with the scent of spices and fresh bread, there lived a young woman named Alara. She was not of noble birth, nor was she wealthy. In fact, she was a simple seamstress, known for her skill with needle and thread. Her garments were highly sought after by the citizens of Illyries, and she earned a modest living by creating beautiful dresses, cloaks, and tunics for her customers. But Alara was not just known for her craftsmanship. She was also known for something far more unusual: her silence. Alara had not spoken a word since she was a child. It wasn't that she was physically unable to speak, rather, she had chosen silence as a way of life after witnessing a terrible event in her youth. Her father, a man of great honor and principle, had been falsely accused of a crime he did not commit. Despite his pleas of innocence, he was executed, and Alara had vowed never to speak again, believing that words had failed to save her father and brought only pain. Years passed, and Alara's silence became a part of her identity. The people of Illyries respected her choice, and though many wondered about the reason behind it, no one dared to ask. They simply accepted her as she was, a quiet, skilled artisan whose work spoke for her. Despite her silence, Alara was not lonely. She found solace in her work and contentment in the simple pleasures of life via a warm cup of tea, the feel of fine fabric between her fingers, the colors of the sunset as they painted the sky each evening. But beneath her calm exterior, there was a restlessness in Alari's heart. She often dreamed of her father, and in those dreams, he would speak to her, urging her to break her silence, to speak out against injustice, and to use her voice for good. These dreams left her troubled, for she did not know how to reconcile the vow she had made with the sense of duty her father's spirit seemed to be calling her to fulfill. One day, a wealthy merchant named Darius came to Alara's shop. He was a tall man with a commanding presence, known throughout Illyries for his business acumen and his vast wealth. He had heard of Alara's skills and had come to commission a new cloak, one that would befit his status and impress his peers. Alara greeted him with a nod and gestured for him to sit while she fetched her materials. Darius, intrigued by her silence, began to speak as she worked, telling her of his many ventures, his successes, and his plans for the future. Alara listened politely, as she always did, focusing on the task at hand. But as the conversation progressed, Darius began to speak of other things, darker things. He spoke of deals made in secret, of bribes paid to officials, and of the lives ruined by his relentless pursuit of profit. Alara's hands trembled as she worked, but she remained silent. She was horrified by what she heard, but her vow kept her lips sealed. Darius, noticing her reaction, chuckled and leaned closer. "I see that my words have startled you," he said. "But fear not, my dear seamstress. This is the way of the world. Power and wealth are not gained through kindness or honesty, but through cunning and strength." He paused, watching her closely. "You are wise to keep silent," he continued. "For those who speak out against men like me often find themselves in unfortunate circumstances. Silence, you see, is a form of power in itself. It keeps you safe. It keeps you alive." Alara finished the cloak and handed it to Darius, who paid her handsomely before leaving the shop. But as she watched him walk away, a sense of unease settled over her. She had always believed that her silence was a shield, a way to protect herself from the world's cruelties. But now, for the first time, she wondered if her silence was not just a shield, but also a prison, one that kept her from doing what was right. That night, Alara dreamed of her father again. He stood before her, his expression grave. "Alara," he said, his voice filled with the sadness that pierced her heart. "Your silence has protected you, but it has also allowed evil to flourish. You must find your voice, my daughter. You must speak out against the wrongs you see, or you will become complicit in them." When she awoke, Alara felt a resolve she had never known before. She knew what she had to do, though the thought of it terrified her. She had to break her silence. She had to confront Darius and expose his deeds. But how? She was just a seamstress, and he was one of the most powerful men in Illyris. Days passed, and Alara struggled with her decision. She knew the risks. Darius was not a man to be crossed lightly. But the words of her father haunted her, and she knew she could not continue living as she had. Finally, she made her decision. She would speak out, no matter the consequences. Alara went to the authorities, writing down everything she had heard from Darius, detailing his corruption and the lives he had ruined. At first, the officials were skeptical. Darius was a respected merchant, and Alara was just a seamstress known for her silence. But when they began to investigate, they found that Alara's claims were true. The evidence was undeniable, and soon, Darius was arrested and put on trial. The trial was the talk of the city. Everyone was shocked that a man as powerful as Darius could be brought down by a mere seamstress. Alara was called to testify, and as she stood before the court, she felt the weight of her vow pressing down on her. But then she remembered her father's words, and with a deep breath, she opened her mouth and spoke for the first time in years. Her voice was soft and trembling, but it carried a conviction that silenced the courtroom. She told them everything she had heard, and as she spoke, she felt the years of silence fall away, replaced by a sense of liberation. When she finished, there was a stunned silence in the room, followed by murmurs of admiration. Darius was found guilty, and his wealth and influence could not save him from the punishment he deserved. Justice was served, and the people of Illyris praised Alara for her courage. They marveled at how a woman who had lived in silence for so long could find the strength to speak out when it mattered most. After the trial, Alara returned to her shop. Life slowly returned to normal, but something had changed within her. She no longer felt bound by her vow of silence. She understood now that silence can be powerful, but so too can a voice that speaks the truth. She continued her work as a seamstress, but she also became known for something more: her willingness to stand up for what was right, no matter the cost. Years later, Alara would tell her story to those who came to her shop, not as a tale of her own bravery, but as a lesson. Silence can protect you, she would say, but it can also protect those who do wrong. There comes a time when you must decide whether your silence is a shield or a shackle. Do not let fear keep you from doing what is right. And so, Alara's story spread throughout Illyris, becoming a legend in its own right. The people remembered her not just as the seamstress who broke her silence, but as a woman who showed them that even the smallest voice can have the greatest impact when it speaks the truth. Alara's life continued in quiet contentment, but she never forgot the lesson she had learned at the true price of silence, and the value of a voice used wisely. And though she had been afraid, she knew that she had made the right choice, for in breaking her silence, she had found not only justice for those who had been wronged, but also a deeper peace within herself. This peace, she realized, was the true reward for speaking out, a treasure far more precious than any material wealth. It was a peace that came from knowing that she had honored her father's memory, and that she had done her part to make the world a better place. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you enjoy, then please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.